50-50 raffle that's available, and an auction under the mirror to your right behind Coach Huey. All right, so please check those out. Thank
What's going on? Everything good?
gentlemen, just a quick reminder, if you're a member of the Hall of Fame and you haven't signed up over here, please do so. We'd like to have an accurate list of all the members of the Hall of Fame who are here today. There's also a 50-50 raffle at the front door if you haven't done that and would like to. And there's a silent auction on the underneath the beer on the right side or your left side of the banquet center. So thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome all of you to the Lawrence County Historical Society's 40th Annual Lawrence County Sports Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm Matthew Mangino, and I have the honor today to serve as the Master of Ceremonies. And I'm thrilled to be here for this very important event, honoring county athletes. My father, Thomas Mangino, was placed in the Hall of Honor in 1993, and my brother, Mark Mangino, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009. So for me, being the MC at the Hall of Fame banquet is as close as I'm going to get to being inducted in the Hall of Fame. Don't be fooled by this flop. I'm not an inductee. We're here today to celebrate the extraordinary accomplishments of 11 athletes and coaches, a Hall of Honor recipient, a team award in recognition of the Newcastle News Student Athletes of the Year. This year's inductees are Michael Annarella, Sean Ashbury, Lawrence Bruton, Scott Brush, Pat Kane, Kevin Carmichael, Jennifer Emery Gurella, Jimmy Graham, Maria Joseph, Sadra Kendall Carpenter, and Ronald Keys. We're going to talk a lot more about these awesome men and women, and we'll hear from them as well after dinner. So let's get started. First, let me introduce George Stefanis. George is a member of the Historical Society Board of Directors and a Hall of Fame co-chair, and he will present the opening remarks and welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Lawrence County Historical Society and the Lawrence County Sports Hall of Fame, I want to welcome everyone, especially our distinguished honorees and our 2025 inductees to our 40th annual induction banquet. I have one observation though. If anyone watched the National Football League draft the other day, especially Thursday night, when the first rounders were chosen, you saw some amazing wardrobe selections. And I'm a little disappointed though in our inductees today for choosing such conservative outfits, but we'll get it. There's a time and a place. So, as you all are aware, sports is the thread that connects all the residents of Lawrence County. That's regardless of your personal or political beliefs. Sports is the common denominator. I was reading a piece also in the New York Times a few weeks ago concerning the Masters golf tournament that was upcoming. And the subject of the piece was what words the television announcers were allowed to say and what words they were not allowed to say. Well, what got me was they were not allowed to use the word fan when describing the gallery that walked around watching the golfers. They apparently, if you know, fan is short for fanatic. And apparently that word is a little too crude for the members of the Augusta National Golf Club. They were requiring the use of the word patriot. Well, in Lawrence County, we don't have patriots. We have fans. And if anyone wants to refer to me as a fanatic, I promise you I will not be offended. So let's enjoy our dinner and sit back and listen to what our inductees have to say about their career in sports and motivations and what led them here today to be inducted alongside the greatest athletes that our county has ever produced. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Next, I'd like to introduce Bill Anderson, who's a member of the Hall of Fame Committee and a 2002 Hall of Honor recipient, to provide this afternoon's invocation.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we give you praise and thanks for bringing us together on this Lord's Day, April 27th, 2025, to celebrate the accomplishments of these amazing athletes and coaches. We pray, Lord, that you humble our hearts as we celebrate today, giving you all the praise and glory for the God-given talents that have been transformed into greatness through much work and sacrifice. The memories these inductees and nominees will share today are embedded in their hearts for a lifetime. And we ask your blessing on those who have been so supportive and meaningful to them along the way, their coaches, their mentors, teammates, and mostly their family members who are here today with us, many. We offer our prayers for our community, especially those less fortunate, the poor, the homeless, the lonely, and the weak of heart. May your loving hand be upon them. And now we ask that you bless this food and the hands that has prepared it. In Jesus' name we pray.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have dinner at this point. I believe the staff will direct you to the buffet, and after dinner we will get into our ceremonies. Thank you very much.
if you'll excuse me for one moment, I have one more comment. If you look over to the wall to my right, we're having a silent auction, and there are some amazing sports memorabilia. All you gotta do is take a look, put your bid down, write your name. Even just taking a look, you'll be amazed at some of the memorabilia that we have donated to us for a fundraiser. So as you have time during the day, feel free to walk over and you might find something you like. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for dinner, it's going to be coming out shortly, and I apologize for the delay. If I could have your attention, we have a number of Hall of Fame inductees here with us today, sharing in the festivities, and I'd like to acknowledge those attendees who signed up over here before we began today. And if you could stand up when your name is mentioned, we would certainly appreciate it. So they're not in any particular order other than the manner in which you signed up. So first is Charlene McCree. Alberta Kelly. Bill Anderson. David Hassan. Lori Lydak. Terry Waters. Mike Pink. John Latina. Ron Hunt. Bob Mitchelltree. Jerry Holzhauser. Floyd Montgomery. George Miles. Joyce Shannon. Ellen Joseph. Ray Sabula. Bill McNeese. Sam Campoli. Anthony Monk-Lorenza. Kathy Travers Spears. Katie DeMetal, Brenda Briggs, Mark Manaframe, J.R. McFarland, Doug Bledgy, Frank Bonjavingo, Todd Atkins, Ursula Payne, and last but not least, Greg Solomon. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin today's ceremony, I think it's worth noting the inaugural class of inductees, whose today's honorees will be joining in the Lawrence County Sports Hall of Fame. The list is truly amazing. First, Dick Allen, who will be inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame this year. He was the most valuable player in the American League in 1972. Phil Breidenball, the legendary Newcastle High School football coach who won several WPIAL championships. Darrell Dess, a two-time All-Pro with the New York Giants football team. L. Butler Henry, the legendary Wampum High School basketball coach, 3 state titles. His son, Don Henry, an All-American in basketball at the University of Pittsburgh. Walter Mangum played basketball at Marquette University, played with several teams in the ABA, including the Pittsburgh Wrens. He had the national high school high jump record. Bill McPeak, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and was the head coach of the Washington Redskins. C.G. Buzz Riddle, who had a dream career of coaching at Westminster College basketball and then going on and coaching at the University of Pittsburgh. Chuck Tanner, manager of the Chicago White Sox, Atlanta Braves, Oakland A's, and a world champion with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Lewis Hack Wilson in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. In 1930, he drove in 191 runs, which is still the Major League mark for most RBIs in a single season. The other thing that is interesting about today's group of athletes, between our student athletes and our Hall of Fame inductees, every high school in Lawrence County is represented with an honoree. And I think that's a testament to how good our local high school programs are and how competitive they are. I also want to give a shout out to Willoughby High School in Ohio. I think that's where Dr. Huey went to high school. So other than Willoughby, we're all Lawrence County here in terms of our high school athletic endeavors. So we're going to start today by introducing our Newcastle News High School Athletes of the Year. And this group of athletes is extraordinary. I had the opportunity to read their bios and to do some research on what they've accomplished in their young lives. And it really, it's mind-boggling to think about. So, The first athlete that we want to acknowledge is Mohawk High School's Jackson Shale. He was the Boys Lawrence County Athlete of the Year. Jackson has won 2 cross-country state championships. He was the Athlete of the Year because of his excellence as a runner in cross-country, but also as a track athlete. He won a bronze medal in the 1600 in the PIAA championships last year and a gold medal in the 32. He also won the 1600 and the 32 meter run in the WPIAL championship. He will be competing again this year in the track and field championships, and I'm sure he's going to add to his collection of medals. Jackson will be attending Penn State University and running there. So let's have Jackson come up. So we'll be cheering on Jackson during the spring meets. Thank you, Jackson. You want to stand? Okay, next I want to introduce Laurel High School's Tori Atkins. And Tori was the female Lawrence County Athlete of the Year. This is, I believe, her second time as Athlete of the Year. She won 3 400-meter gold medals in 3 consecutive years at the WPIAL championship. The 200 meters, she was champion. The 400-meter state champion. She's also a volleyball player. She continues to excel again this spring. I just read this week that at the MAC championship, as a tune-up for the WPIAL championship, she set 2 records and had 4 first place finishes. She will be running track at Youngstown State University. Come on. So we'll look forward to watching Tori continue to run this spring. And I tell you, when I looked at these statistics for these student athletes, and I had to do some editing, I got told them, I tried not to leave any of the good parts out. But if I was going to tell you about everything these athletes and our next athlete accomplished, we'd be here longer than if Larry Kelly was the MC today. So next I want to introduce Addie Fry. And Addie, when I was doing some research, I was reading some articles, and so I read her comments after a game last April in 2024. And here's what she said after the game. She said, "I think it was a good team effort, all around team effort." Well, let me tell you what Addie did in that game, okay? She threw a perfect game and struck out 16 batters. So much for the team effort. But when you look at Addie's stats, obviously she's won a state championship at Neshannock. She was 19-0 last year, 212 strikeouts, an earned run average of .58. So you would figure someone who's thrown like that, they're probably going to DH for her because that's what she's focused on. No. She batted 500, had 6 home runs, and 34 runs batted in. So, Addie, come up and join us. She'll be playing at Providence next year. All right, and so I want to recognize the other. Addie was the runner-up with those credentials, so you know I'm with the athletes in the award. So we have one other runner-up, and unfortunately he couldn't be here with us today, Joseph Roth, and he has one of the more unique multi-sports backgrounds in not only in the county but in the entire WPIL. He was a 7-time medalist in the WPIL and PIAA championships, where he swam for Riverside High School. He went to Elwood City Lincoln. They didn't have a swimming program, so he's able to swim with Riverside. He was a 4-time WPIL swimming champion, winning the 100 backstroke as a freshman, and sophomore, and junior, and the 50 freestyle as a sophomore. He also played on a WPIL championship basketball team, which won the championship in 2021. He could not be here because he is now a student athlete at Ohio State, and he wants to extend his regards to the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame committee. But he's the only senior out of these athletes who graduated. All of these athletes were back for another year, so it's an extraordinary group, and I'm very proud to be able to talk about their accomplishments to all of you. Okay, so I was a bit premature the last time I said we were going to have dinner, but I think I'm getting the thumbs up right now. So we're going to start dinner. I believe the staff will come table by table to beat you up, and we will meet some more of our honorees after dinner. Can I have your attention for a moment, please? Will all the today's honorees please come up here near the front door? All of today's honorees, we would like you to come up to the front door, and we'll get the program started.
Never got a return call.
Okay. Can I have everyone's attention, please? Thank you. I want to get the introductions started. We have really an unbelievable group of inductees. Before we begin, I just want to note that NCTV45 is live streaming the event today, and we appreciate that. I hope that all of you enjoyed your dinner. And with that, we're going to start with the Hall of Honor Award. So the Hall of Honor Award was created in 1986 to recognize community members who have made exceptional contributions to local sports as a coach or league official, sponsor, promoter, broadcaster, or other areas of involvement with local sports. Today, we have the privilege of honoring a gifted athlete, a gifted coach, and a gifted educator. I want to introduce our Hall of Honor recipient, Dr. Darwin Huey. Dr. Huey was a football player, coach, and educator at Westminster College. After graduating from Willoughby High School in 1970, Huey was a 4-year letter winner and 3-year starter at linebacker for Westminster College. Huey was a member of Westminster's first NAIA Division II National Championship team in 1970. In 1971, they were national runner-up. In 1972, Coach Huey had 5 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, and the Titans finished 7-1 that season. Huey was an assistant coach at Westminster College from 1976 to 1990. From 1981 to 98, he was a defensive coordinator, and his defensive teams were ranked #1 in scoring defense in 1992, 93, and 96. Huey was a part of all 6 Westminster national championships in football. He was inducted into the Titan Hall of Fame in 2001, and he coached 17 different teams that made the national playoffs at Westminster, and I had the honor of playing on one of those teams in 1983. The thing that I think best epitomizes Dr. Huey is I came to Westminster and he was my coach, and I didn't realize at that time that I was also making a lifetime friend. And I'm sure so many of the people who played at Westminster would agree with that. He's also the author of a book, Together, about the Ralph Blundo's Newcastle High School State Championship team, and he has another book in the works which will be published soon. Next is our Ellis Hoffman Memorial Team Award. Dr. Ellis Hoffman dedicated a great deal of his time to uncovering the achievements of Lawrence County athletes who had long departed, and so they would not be forgotten. Hoffman and other members of the Lawrence County Historical Society Board of Directors approached the Newcastle News editor, Robert Vosberg, about establishing a forum for honoring local athletes, and the Lawrence County Hall of Fame was born. Dr. Hoffman passed away in 2002 following a battle with cancer, but his work to preserve the history of county athletes has not been forgotten, and the team award is dedicated in his memory. So I'd like to introduce the Ellis Hoffman Memorial Team Award winner, and that's the 1980 Laurel football team, and head coach George Miles. The 1980 football team was the first Tri-County team to win an outright WPIL championship. Under Coach Miles, the Spartans defeated the heavily favored Clarendon High School 14-12 in Mount Lebanon Stadium. The starting quarterback and safety on that team was Sam Greenwood, and Sam is with us today. And Sam and I had the pleasure of playing football together at Westminster and living together at Westminster. And that's just all I'm going to tell you about that. So Greenwood was Greenwood was elected into the Lawrence County Sports Hall of Fame. He was injured for the championship game. And Rich Kunzelman, who also went to Westminster, is also a member of the Hall of Fame, was the quarterback in that championship game. And I know that there are a number of players here from that team, and if you could all stand up right now, we would like to recognize you. I know that Jerry Holzhauser is here, who was an assistant coach on that team. I'm not sure if any of the other assistant coaches. Dennis Stack is here as well. And I remember this team in 1980 because I was a senior in high school in 1980, and we went 6-4 and they won the WPL championship. So it still hurts today. So our first Hall of Fame inductee, Michael Annarella. So Michael was a standout in football and baseball at Union High School. In 1996, Annarella was all Tri-County at guard and a Class B All-WPIL honorable mention. The next year, he was named to the Tri-County First Team All-Conference as a defensive tackle and was most valuable lineman in the conference. In baseball, he led the section in hitting in 1967. Annarella then went on to Westminster College. We're going to hear a lot about Westminster College today, where he was part of the 1970 NAIA championship team. In 1971, the Titans were national champion runner-ups. That season, Annarella had 73 tackles, 49 assists, 1 interception, and 1 block extra point. He was co-captain of the 71 team, and he was honorable mention Little All-American in the NAIA. He was named Defensive Team MVP at Westminster in 1970 and 1971. He was also the Athlete of the Year at Westminster in 1972. He's also in the Westminster College Hall of Fame. Next is Sean Asbury. And Sean played for Union High School, was a 3-year Letterman. As a junior, he was the 3rd leading scorer in Lawrence County. As a senior, he was the leading scorer in the county with 24.8 points per game and 13.2 rebounds a game. Asbury's senior performance led him to being named first team all-section. He also received small school all-state selection by the Associated Press and was MVP of the Rising Star All-Star Classic. He graduated as the 5th leading scorer in the program's history at Laurel. I'm sorry, excuse me, that get me in a lot of trouble. Asbury then went on to Bucknell University, a Division I basketball program, and was a 4-year letterman. In his senior year, Asbury started all 28 games and received the Muster Award for leadership while maintaining a spot on the Patriot League Academic Honor Roll. Next is Lawrence Brew. Lawrence was a football star at Newcastle High School in 1980 and 1982. And I had the pleasure of playing with Lawrence at Newcastle in 1980. I was a senior when he was a sophomore. And Larry was a blocking back. He was my blocking back. And he was very good at it. I ended up rushing for about 250 yards that year. and Lawrence rushed for about 1,000. Bruton was the second leading rusher in the school's history at Newcastle with 472 carries and 2,271 yards. Larry was a WPIL Quad A Section 2 All-Star. He went on to Temple University and started there for 3 of his 4 seasons. He was coached there by Nick Rapone from Newcastle and John Latina, who's here, also from Newcastle. He played for Bruce Arians, who went on to a career in the NFL. Bruton was drafted in the 11th round of the NFL draft by the Cleveland Browns. He made it to the last cut with the Browns before the strike season, if you remember. And then in 1988, he signed a contract with British Columbia of the Canadian Football League, and the next year he signed as a free agent with the Dallas Cowboys. Larry graduated from Temple. He has a master's degree in education and theology. Our next inductee is Scott Rush. Scott Rush was a 4-year baseball and 3-year football player who graduated from Wilmington High School in 1981. With the Greyhounds, Rush was the MVP in 1980 when the year before his team won state championship under Coach Mitchell-Tree. Scott and I were contemporaries, and actually I was a catcher too, not in the same league with Scott Rush. But so one day he and I were talking, and I said, Scott, how do you handle a knuckleball pitcher? Because our high school team had a knuckleball pitcher, and if you know about a knuckleball, it kind of rolls and slides, it doesn't spin. And Scott said, Matt, here's how I catch a knuckleball. He says, when it starts rolling, he said, I wait for it to stop and then I run over and pick it up. And that was his advice to me. In his senior year at Wilmington, Rush earned league MVP and first team all-league catcher honors. His team won the national championship in I believe it was his junior season. This is outrageous, but he batted .636. He then signed a letter of intent with West Virginia University, and later returned to play at Westminster College. He's a teacher in the Wilmington School District. He was head baseball coach from 1987 to 1998, and he was also the director of athletics from 2005 to 2016. Next, I would get. Next, let me introduce you to Pat King. So, Pat was a standout football and basketball player for Newcastle High School. On the football field, King helped the Red Hurricane win a WPIL championship in 1998, and he won 3 WPIL championships, 4 in basketball. 3 in basketball. So Pat's a little younger than I am, and I got to know him because we coached together at Shannon High School with Fred Mazaka. And Pat has always been a very humble guy. When I read about all that he achieved, I knew he played football, I knew he was on the basketball team, but when I read about it, I was like, wow, this guy really did well, and they never talked about him. So he's always been very humble. So when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, I called him. And I said, Pat, congratulations on getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he said, Matt, I don't deserve this award. But then again, I have arthritis in my knee, and I don't deserve that either, so I'm coming back. So his career in high school, he was 5th in passing and receiving with 668 yards for a 19-yard average. He finished his career with the Hurricane with 1,190 yards receiving, 63 catches, averaging 17 yards a catch. He also played on 3 WPO championship teams. He scored a career 789 points on the basketball court, earning 4 letters in football and basketball. After graduating from Newcastle, he continued his football career at Gannon University as a tight end from 2005 to 2003. Kane played 39 games and had 101 receptions for 1,263 yards and 15 touchdowns again. He was named first team All-Northwest Region, first team offensive squad for the All-Independent Football Alliance. He's still the leading career receptions and yardage as a tight end at Gannon. Next is Kevin Carmichael. Kevin is a 1989 graduate of Newcastle and a veteran of the United States Army. Carmichael has over 20 years of experience coaching wrestling at Laurel and holds a career record of 138 team wins. His team made playoff appearances in 2013, 2016, 2018, and 2025. Carmichael's 2024-25 boys squad captured the program's first ever section championship and has had 8 individual section champions. Carmichael has coached 5 WPIAL champions. He coached Grant McKay, who became a 2-time PIAA state championship and 1-time runner-up. Carmichael was also involved in youth wrestling, and along with Jay Mateo, initiated the first PIAA varsity girls wrestling program in Lawrence County. In its second year, Pennsylvania currently has 70 girls wrestling programs. Now, we've had all men. Okay, it's not like we put the women toward the bottom of the list. It just so happens that alphabetically, that's where we are. So next, I want to introduce Jennifer Emery Gurella. Jennifer competed in basketball, softball, and volleyball at Laurel High School. Jennifer reached the 1,000-point milestone in basketball. In softball, she pitched as a sophomore and achieved a .640 career batting average with the Lady Spartans. She continued her softball career at Westminster College. With the Lady Titans, Jennifer received All-Pac honors 4 times. She earned her first team recognition in 2007, 2008, and 2009. In 2007, Jennifer was named ECAC Division III first team while at Westminster, where she hit 20 home runs, 128 runs batted in, and had a batting average of .455. Jennifer is second all-time batting, over 300 each of her seasons. She was named to the 60th anniversary All-Pac team and 2010's All-Decade Pac team. She's also in the Westminster and Laurel Hall of Fame. Next is Jimmy Grant. I got to know Jim a bit when my son played on his first team, football team at Shenango. as the head football coach. And I knew Jim was a good player and a good athlete, and I knew that he went to Westminster and excelled there. But when I read his statistics, I was dumbfounded. His career is unlike any high school career I've ever read about. He participated in football, basketball, and baseball at Shenango. He started all three sports as a sophomore, junior, and senior. Graham received first team all-conference as a quarterback in his junior year and was named first team all-conference his senior year, where he led the county in passing and in touchdowns. In basketball, Graham led the county in three-pointers during his sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. He led his team to the 1995-96 WPIAL championship under Coach McNeese. He was first team all-conference all 3 years in basketball while in high school. He led the school in scoring, 1,263 points and 224 three-pointers. But there's more. On the diamond, Graham was two-time conference MVP. Graham had an earned run average of 1.33 and 51 strikeouts in his senior year, and batted .432 with 19 runs batted in, and led the section in doubles. Graham was the first male athlete in Lawrence County to win back-to-back Male Athlete of the Year honors. After graduating from Shenango, he went to Westminster College. During his senior year at quarterback, Graham set the record for passing yards in a career and a single season. Graham also held records in passing and completions in a single season and passing attempts in a single season. He's the only player in Westminster football history to pass for more than 350 yards in a game. And he's now the head football coach at Shenango High School. Next is Maria Joseph. Maria was a standout in basketball and softball at Newcastle High School. She graduated in 2004 as a four-year letter winner in basketball. Joseph was part of the 2004 WPIAL class for a girls WPIAL championship team. It was the first ever WPIAL championship for the girls program in Newcastle. Joseph was also a four-year letter winner at shortstop for the Lady Kings. She continued her basketball and softball career at Westminster College. In 2004, the basketball team won the conference championship, as did the softball team that she played for. In 2008, Joseph was named PAC first team. She batted .340 and had a slugging percentage of .476, recording 35 hits, 10 doubles, and 19 runs batted in. Joseph is also a coach. She served as head varsity coach at Sharon from 2012 to 2015, and at Newcastle for the 2015 season. Joseph is also an assistant basketball coach at Westminster in 2016, and at Newcastle from 2016 until the present. Next is Chandra Kendall Carpenter. Sadra was a three-sport athlete at Wilmington High School. In volleyball, she was named second team All-District 10 and All-State honorable mention by the Pennsylvania Volleyball Coaches Association in 1994. The next year, she received Mercer County Athletic Conference MVP and PVCA second team All-State honorable mention honors. She helped lead the basketball team to the NCAC League Championship for the 1994-95 season and was named NCAC second team All-Conference the same season. The next year, the Lady Greyhounds won the NCAC League Championship, and again, she received first team All-Conference. In track and field, She was a WPIL runner-up at the discus, took fourth place in the PIAA championship in 1994. In 1995, she captured the District 10 championship in the discus and then second in the state championship. She was named Lawrence County Female Athlete of the Year in 1996. After graduating from Laurel, Chandra went to Geneva College, where she beat the outdoor shot put record of 39.11 inches in 1997 and still holds the record. She then went to Westminster College and was named second team All Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, Division II All-Star. And finally, Ronald Keys. So Ronald competed in track and football for Newcastle. In 1969, he graduated as the fastest runner in Lawrence County history in the 100-yard dash. Now, the other thing that you need to know is he ran that 100-yard dash in 9.7 seconds on a cinder track at Newcastle High School. Keys was also the MAC champion in 1969 after winning both the 100 and Cody Pattinson. He wrote this, and he shows his youth a bit here, because when he wrote it, he said he ran in the 200-yard and the 400-yard and the 800-yard. But as we know, us old timers, I think back then it was a 220 and a 440 and an 880. But Ronald won the 100 and 200-yard dash. He was an all-Lawrence County track all-star. He had the fastest time in the 220 with 22.2 seconds that helped propel him to being second in the state in the 220. Keys was a 3-year letterman in track for the 100, the 220, and the 880 relay team. In 1979, the county, of course, changed to metric in 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meter. So Ronald Keys' records will never be broken because we don't run in the same races that he did at the time. Keys was a letter winner on the 1967 WPIL championship team. He played on both sides of the ball for the Red Hurricane. He graduated, as I said, in '69, enlisted in the Navy during the Vietnam War. We thank him for his service. Okay, so I thought it was worth listening to those illustrious biographies and the accomplishments that these men and women have achieved. And one thing that I noticed looking through all these bios was that they're all winners. I mean, you know, they excel individually in some sports very well, but they also won, their teams won, which I think is a tribute to them. And they all have rings and medals. And I don't have any ring, and I don't have any medals. But it's really a tribute. So I'd like to start off, and maybe we can start with you, Mr. Anarella. So, other than your parents, who's had the greatest impact on your life?
Fortunately, from the community, I had Coach Dick Hart in baseball, Coach Sox Gibson in football, and Coach McCord in football and Wisconsin. Those three gentlemen all three themselves as first-class individuals. And you learn a lot from people that they keep different pleasure. They treat people that should be treated the way they want to be treated. So that was the closest things to father like I'm pretty much high school and college career.
So you played for Harold Murray and he's in the college football hall of fame. Yeah. So Sean, tell us who other than your parents had the greatest impact on your life?
Well, it's still in family. You know, it's my uncles and cousins. Like, we grew up in a very kind of close-knit family, and still are today. And, you know, all came through the county between Newcastle and Union. And they all set a standard that I tried to reach and hold. You know, athletically, academically, just, you know, as a citizen. So, you know, still very much in family. And then, you know, as coaches, it was certainly as the coaches that I looked up to coming through. Coach Hannah Franks, Coach Trimble, and my college coach Atlanta as well.
Tell us who's had the greatest impact on you outside of your
Other than my family. Well, I have to give a shout out to the Payne and Altman family. So when I say Payne, Jimmy Payne, Lenny Payne, and I also have to say something about Coach Latino. I was getting ready to transfer from Temple University, and he gave me an old school Italian tie. That's still in print and still on me today. I still think about that tie he gave me. And I'm glad he said something to me. And I've been friends with Mark Hassan for years. So, you know, thanks to him. And I also have to say something about the foundational pieces. George Crumpleton lived on the same street as me. His grandson is, where is he now? His grandson's right here. His grandfather told me cream always rises to the top. My cream has always rose to the top, even in difficult times. And also, trying to get through this real quick, Coach Laurel told me in 1980, man, it's a long time ago, he said that you only need 3 to 5 people to win in high school football. You only need 3 to 5 people in life. There's going to be a small group of people who are going to help you through some difficult times. And I have found that to be true. And finally, things were tough when I was growing up. I'm going to give you an idea. I was eating government cheese. When we say we're all reading that. And the foundational pieces, I want to mention Donald Curry, who's not here today, Sam Flora, even though I didn't play for Sam, but the competition, because iron sharpens iron. Been playing against him. The kids on the east side always would tip the scales a little bit. They were always a little bit bigger. On the west side, we were fast. We had speed, and then we brought everything together because we needed speed in the power. And I think that's about it up till now, before someone tells me to shut up.
That's going to be me, Lawrence.
All right, Lawrence, that's a tough one to follow. Other than my parents, I would certainly say, you know, during my baseball career, because I played both in Pennsylvania and over in Youngstown, Ohio, I played 7 days a week. So my wife, who was my girlfriend for, I think 15 years before she became my wife, I met her in 7th grade. So my wife, Lisa, obviously was very influential because she sat and watched a lot of games, and that's probably why she doesn't like watching baseball today, without a doubt. On the diamond, my father was a baseball player, but obviously I played for Coach Bob Mitchell-Tree, who's a legend in coaching baseball. He's coached baseball 48 years now. He's coached football 48 years, 96 seasons. But he was my coach 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year. My coach when we won the state championship. And it was easy to be a good catcher when I had a pitcher like Doug Bledgy on the mound. Would hand Doug the ball, and he didn't throw a knuckleball, so I didn't chase too many of his. But Doug was a pretty doggone good pitcher. I left and I thought, you know, Division I was the way to go, and went to West Virginia University, and was going to see playing time down there because the second string catcher transferred out. And I don't know if it was homesick because I missed my wife-to-be or whatever, but I decided to transfer back to Westminster. allowed me to play against Luigi because he went to Geneva. But also had an opportunity to play for Coach Scott Rediger, who was here today as well. And so I was very fortunate in my life to play for a very good high school coach and a very good college coach, and Bob Mitchell treated Scott Rediger.
Another one to follow. You know, of course, other than my family, I was sort of a late bloomer. I started in the 7th grade, and you know, people around town would see a big kid and constantly say, "Why aren't you playing football? Why aren't you playing basketball?" I got it constantly. So the most influential, though, other than the family, I'd probably say would be the Flora family. They've been very, very great in helping me over the years. Coach Gary Schooley was my head coach in high school. He used to always tell us, "You reap what you sow," and that definitely came to be true at the end. Winning the Whipple Championship our senior year, all the hard work we put in after the struggles the first few years. And Coach John Saranger, our basketball coach, I mean, total wars in practice. It teaches you life lessons, things you carry with you each and every day. And you know, even in the workday when it's hard, sometimes you look back at those days in football and basketball and some of the things that we went through, and you say to yourself, "This ain't so tough." So, you know, Coach Schooley, Coach Saranger, Coach Makarevich, who's no longer with us, was a tremendous, tremendous influence in my life. He was with us for 1 year, and thank all those people.
Great. Kevin?
I think, obviously my family and I have a very close group of friends that have inspired me. I would definitely have to say my children, my wife. You know, you wake up every day and you try to inspire them. And in doing so, you continue to be inspired. You try to lead by example, and I do that every day. Wrestling's a unique sport. You know, we consider ourselves a community, and so to say I'm inspired by certain individuals would be difficult. I'm inspired by my coaches. We've been together for a very long time. Mike Miles, Antonio Reno, Jay Matteo. You know, we've been in the same room and walked the same halls and sat in the same corners for over 20 years together. So I think I'm inspired by them because they continue to be motivated and you know, growing as a community, growing as a wrestling community, a wrestling team. As far as the sport of wrestling in itself, you know, I had an older gentleman that I'm much more close in age now, Bill Blacksmith, that walked into my room one day. I'd never met the gentleman before, and within 10 minutes of him being in my room, I was trying to figure out, and I wish we had had smartphones back then because I would have found out a lot quicker, just who had walked in my room. Bill was a Division I national champion in wrestling for Leon or Lockhaven, and he had coached 20 years at the Division I level, and this gentleman just happened to walk in my room, and I had the fortune of being able to spend the next 5 to 6 years with him, and listening to him, and sitting in his living room, and listening to his words of wisdom, and how he dealt with athletes. You know, one of the things he always told me is, you're not coaching a wrestler, you're coaching an athlete, you're coaching an individual. And when you start teaching them and looking at them as an individual, then you'll start seeing positive things come in your program. And I think that word of wisdom from him has always stuck with me, and I try to live by that.
Great. And Jennifer?
Besides my parents, I'd like to thank my siblings who are all literally sitting right in front of me right here, staring at me. So I'm gonna look way up. But I am the youngest of 6, so let's just say we are all very competitive athletes. So I think I get a lot of my athleticism from them, from the years and years and years of roughhousing in the house. And just last weekend, we were playing volleyball for hours. So besides my parents, I'd like to accommodate that, credit them as well. Terry Waters, very inspirational in my life. Coach Jan Redinger, thank you both of you. And before I pass the mic, can we please show or raise a hand who is associated with Westminster in this room? Everybody? Come on.
I'll tackle this from 2 angles. I'll start with being a coach. And I'd say family by far is, because I know there's a lot of current coaches and former coaches, and there are more bad days than good days. Unfortunately, in coaching, where, you know, my family, their support has been tremendous. As a player, other than the support of my parents and my brother, growing up, I would say, obviously my coaches, Coach Barnes-Mingo, Spirit Coach McNeese, Coach Budai, and the college coaches. But, you know, in the early to late 90s, you went to school, you were home with your family, and then you were with your coaches. That was what you did. So that was where you spent most of your time. And, you know, I was fortunate that my coaches saw something in me to put me in the game, and I just worked to have them never take me out. And I'm reminded of the fact that I played for some really good coaches, because you walk into the gymnasium, and it's a Bill McNeese gymnasium. I walk onto the football field every day for practice or a game, and it's Frank Barnes-Mingo field. So I'm very thankful that I played for some great coaches and great role models.
Maria?
I would say besides my parents, would definitely be my siblings. You know, growing up with two older brothers, they were fortunate enough to have me following them around the neighborhood growing up, getting to play with the boys every day. So they definitely made me into the athlete that I am or was. And then even growing up with my sister, she pushed me every day in practice. You know, I got the opportunity to play with her in both high school and college. So that was, she always wanted to push me a little bit more. She knew how to get me going. And obviously, you know, I played for some amazing coaches, you know, Lorraine Grabowski, Coach Janiger, who's here, Coach Roseanne Scott at Westminster. So I think just the people around me pushed me to be a better person and just digging deep and just, you know, you want to succeed. When you have a cousin like Dom Joseph and Robbie London, you got to kind of step up your game growing up. So definitely just, definitely my siblings and my cousins growing up. You know, I'm one of the youngest in our family, so just watching them and succeed, that was kind of the motivation to keep pushing every day.
Shadra.
Yes. I'd like to make a correction to my bio. I bleed blue and gold. I did not graduate from Laurel. I graduated from Wilmington. And I was lucky enough to be coached under the great J.R. McFarland. He is just one of the best people ever in my life. So, and he very adamantly told me that I was not going to be a cheerleader, that I was going to play volleyball. And I'm so thankful that he led me in that direction. But I got to play volleyball and do all 4 years of track with him. So he's been a great inspiration to me. But also just, I've been so blessed to have so many amazing coaches and teachers and teammates and competitors that I was able to play against and with, that I learned so much from. My older brother was an amazing athlete, so I was so happy to be able to do 2 years of track on the same track team with him. So I've just been surrounded with amazing people, obviously my family, but definitely JR, for sure. He's one of the best, so thank you, JR.
Ronald?
Other than my hero, my dad, who's in this Hall of Fame. My grandfather, who was born in 1892 Alabama, but could read and speak fluent Italian, Polish, Spanish, and who taught me that your dignity and your self-respect is never for sale. But when you lost those two things, you lost yourself. And the other man growing up was Earl Muff Sally, who taught us the true meaning of humanity. Not on the south side, south side.
If I could just for a moment, Ronald's father, Sam Keys, who's in the Hall of Fame, who played on Newcastle's 1948 and 49 back-to-back WPIL. And I heard a lot about Stan Keys from my father, who played on those same teams. So, Coach Huey, we're going to switch it up with you, because I know you're good on your feet and you can shift gears quickly. But so, I wanted to ask you, now your coaching career was extraordinary. I mean, all the national championships and playing, coaching, 17 national playoff appearances. And how do you get a team ready to play like that so successfully year in and year out? What would it take?
Well, I thought I was going to answer the other question. Well, I was saying to somebody earlier, somebody asked me what I missed when I retired, and I said I missed everything. I loved the game preparation, I loved the scouting reports, I loved the practice, I loved the games, I loved reviewing the films, and I was blessed to, sort of answer that first question a little bit, to be inspired by Coach Burry and be given an opportunity by Coach Fusco and be mentored by Coach Nicholson. And I learned from them, and we just did it day in and day out. Somebody asked me recently how we motivated the guys, and I said, I don't really think I ever motivated anybody, because the standard was so high that if you didn't reach toward the standard, you were going to fall behind. And we were blessed with great kids, great students, highly motivated, and some pretty good athletes.
Thank you, Coach. And the reason I wanted to do that was it's those days of practice when you think you were going to go through a walkthrough, and all of a sudden you made us run gassers. So I figured I switched it to see how you could adjust to that. So, so Coach Miles, I wanted to ask you about obviously your 1980 team, which I said earlier I'm still jealous of 40 years later. But what was it like that season and the adversity that you had to get over when your quarterback went down and you had to go with someone else to play Claire that Saturday?
Yeah, we just had some very intelligent and some very tough kids. I mean, no way physically could we match up with a team like Claire, but I just recall that they had 22 different sets, and we had 2 days to make an adjustment to every set, and those kids were able to do that, and just had a lot of heart and just were tough kids. And, probably not the greatest team I ever coached, but some of the best kids that I've ever coached.
Thank you. So we're going to jump around a little bit and try to move things along. And so we're going to start with Scott real quick. So Scott, when you heard that you had been inducted into the Hall of Fame, what is the first thing that went through your mind?
Well, I've actually taken time to go down through and look at the unbelievable athletes, both male and female, that are already in the Hall of Fame. And when I saw that, I was very humbled. I said, to be in the same Hall of Fame that some people like Chuck Tanner, my father played with Donnie Hennon. Donnie Hennon, he told me he averaged 35 points a game, or he told me he held him to 35 points one night, below his season average. And then I found out later that Donnie Hennon only played a half that night. I've heard stories with my father, who passed away last April, would have been 86, about a lot of these amazing athletes. And I would say I was very humbled. And sitting up here today and just listening to the bios of all these individuals, there's some amazing talent that has rolled through Orange County.
All right.
Can I answer that real quick?
Yeah,
real quick. Come on. Thank you. I appreciate it. Same exact thought. I mean, I was totally humbled thinking about growing up in Newcastle. It's all we heard about was the 67 team and 70 team and Alan Joseph. and Larry Bruton, and the names go on and on. These guys are like legends to us. I mean, we all love the Pittsburgh Steelers and some of these NFL teams, but the Newcastle Red Hurricanes, and a kid from the east side like me, I could see the lights, the tower lights outside my window, and it was like Three River Stadium to me. So to be inducted with some of these guys, Sean Asbury, I'll tell you a story about that. I was a freshman playing basketball with him down the YMCA, and I felt like I was playing Michael Jordan. I was working out with Jimmy Grant Markovich at Shenango high school, and I felt like I was playing with Joe Montana. So to be included with these guys, Denny Flores, the Alan Jacksons, the people like that, Bill McNeese coach, it's awesome.
Yeah. Jennifer, what went through your mind?
Initially I said I have to give another speech in front of a bunch of people. That honestly was my first one. But yeah, just like these gentlemen have said, I'm very honored. I feel accomplished. It's a good word I would say. You kind of put me on the spot here, so that's pretty much all I got.
That's what they're paying me to do. So, Sandra?
For me, I'm definitely humbling, but also I feel like I got a little bit of street credit with my kids now, because I would say, hey, let me help you with your serve, and they would just kind of laugh at me, or I'd say, hey, I can help you with your foul shot, and they'd be like, whatever, Mom. And now I'm like, I think I know what I'm doing, so maybe they'll listen to me now.
Okay, so, Jim, we went through all of your accomplishments, or most of them, to our best, but what do you think, athletically, was the most important accomplishment in your athletic career?
Well, it's hard to narrow it down. I would say, I don't know, probably rare in this situation, especially the dynamic of the way sports are now, where coaches really want you to focus on sometimes one sport or narrow it down to two. But I think when the season started, it was 110% for that whole season. There was nothing else that was important in terms of athletics. And then when that season ended, you took maybe 1 day or 2 days off, and then you started that next season. And I really remember going through my career and everybody else saying, well, what's your favorite? And it was always whatever I was doing at that time. Like, I just enjoyed sports, I enjoyed the competitiveness. Very thankful for my teammates. I grew up with some very athletic kids that were on most of those teams with me. But I think probably the most I'm proud of, or that I appreciate the most, is just going to college to play football, earn a degree, played for multiple coaches. When I went over NAIA, I played for Coach Nicholson. And we transitioned to Division II for a couple years. And then the last year we had Coach Schmidt come in, who's now at Duquesne, but that was a transition to Division III. So I think I may be one of the only quarterbacks to play 3 different divisions in college also. But I think just earning that degree and being able to obviously provide for my family with the education that I did get.
Thank you. Sean, tell us, in your accomplishments, and there are many, what do you your greatest accomplishment athletically?
I probably wouldn't use the word greatest. I don't know, maybe goodest. I think I was proudest of making all state, because that was a goal I set out pretty early. It was kind of the only individual goal I laid out. Other than that, this won't sound like much, but it meant the world to me. It's like when I cracked the fucking lineup in 10th grade, and they didn't give it to me. I went on this funny mission. Coach Manfred, and he comes up to me after a few games. He's like, "You should be the starter on this team." have a voice. Like, you know, and it took me a while to get what he's saying. It's like, there's more that you can do. And like that just lit a fire. I remember like Jimmy started as a sophomore, like, whoa, like, and even that made me, I was like, I paid attention to like the guys that I came up competing against in Little League and Pee Wee, and now we're, at the varsity level, and again, I mentioned this is standard. I wanted to make sure I was reaching, maintaining the standard.
Thank you. So, Mike, you had a great career at Union at Westminster College. What do you remember as your greatest accomplishment as an athlete?
Call it the greatest accomplishment. The camaraderie and playing with the players, whether it be any, whether it be Westminster, became friends with so many people, and being in that sport or those sports have been across the county, we met folks, and they became good friends. And I sat at the table here before things started, and I'm listening to both and Alan Joseph talk, and they're going back in time. So those are the kind of things that come with the sport, whatever it is. But I made some lifelong friends, and you see a lot of them here. And that, along with my family, my gang,
And Maria, I'm gonna double back for a second, and I want to ask you, what did you think when you first heard that you were being inducted?
I actually took a picture of my letter and I sent it to my good friends, and I asked if they were pranking me. Because they like to prank me. I'm very easy to get. But when they said no, I instantly cried. I'm a crier. I just was just honestly in shock, just humbled and excited. I'm actually choking up now. Just something you don't really think that's going to happen to you, and I was just extremely honored and blessed and thankful. And I think I'm still in shock sitting now. Definitely humbled, and it's a great honor to be up here with these men and women and everybody before me. So
great. You pass it to Ronald. So Ronald, obviously running a 9.7 on the center track at Newcastle High School is a memorable accomplishment. But I'd ask you, what did you feel when you were inducted? I mean, you graduated in 1969, and here it's 2025.
It's probably saying that these fine athletes up here, very humbling, because no one gets up here by yourself. And two of the three people that really had a lot to do with me and my speed practice are here tonight. Ronnie Hunt, Richard Bell. These guys used to take off 10 yards down the field and try to make me catch it. And it wasn't always successful. So, very humbling, and I want to thank them for them having a great part of me being up here. Thank you.
And Kevin, you've coached champions, and what's it like to bring a young athlete under your wing and ultimately see them become a champion?
I think it was a little bit, speaking of Grant, when he was coming into Laurel, I remember meeting him and his dad in the wrestling room. It was middle of July and the room was extremely hot. And think it was probably upper 80s in that room that day. I remember standing there, just standing there, sweating, and having a conversation with a kid that I think was just not finding a home and not sure what to do with his wrestling career. And, you know, he had goals and they changed, and he just seemed a little bit confused. And I think over the course of 3 years, you know, I have a great relationship with Grant, and he's here tonight. And I think getting him to fall in love with that sport again, or being a piece of that puzzle, and it leading to that championship just made it a little bit sweeter. You know, that first year when he was a sophomore and he won it was just an incredible moment to see him accomplish that, understanding where he came from. That was a big moment. But you know, the girls' side, you know, I think the other big moment for me was seeing, you know, Abby Miles being the first girl in Laurel, being the first girl in the county, going to college, compete in wrestling. I think that was huge to see her, you know, she qualified for the national tournament this year, and just to see her succeeding. You know, it's easy to say about the boys, but we're the unique program where I get to also say, well, I'm proud of the girl too. And I've had my hand in that as well. So those are, you know, two athletes that are here with me tonight, and for them to be here, yeah, that means a lot.
So Lawrence, tell us about your most memorable accomplishment as an athlete.
Wow, let me see. My most memorable was a coach at Newcastle. I can't remember which one it was, but they told me that the importance of writing your goals down on paper. I was drafted in 1987, but I had written that down 6 or 7 years before it happened because of a coach here in Newcastle. So it was important to write things down, and sports is about relationships. If you have good relationships, you're going to win. It doesn't even sometimes even matter what talent that you have, but I had great people back here, and I also thought about the kids. I got the phone call, but I was thinking about the kids. What can I do to enrich the kids back here? I haven't figured that out, but I'm thinking about it constantly.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna move a bit to what we call the speed round. Okay. So Coach Miles, I'd ask you, you know, what bit of advice would you have for a young person today who you know, wants to be an athlete and a stellar student?
I think just dedication. I mean, you have a goal, you set your sights on it, and don't let anything get in your way as far as accomplishing it. Just a lot of hard work. You got to be willing to put that hard work in.
So Mike, as an athlete, what did you most admire in a teammate? What did you look for in a team?
Basically, the same type of thing that Coach talked about. I mean, you got to be dedicated. You got to be dedicated people that they work to improve themselves on a daily basis. They set a good example, and those are the kind of guys that they look up to. That's what it seems like a lot of folks today are headed in that direction, because we have some fine athletes, male and female, in this county, and they have to be in that thing.
In a team?
Hunger, fire. I mean, the biggest reason I went to Bucknell was one guy I visited Easter weekend, almost nobody was there. And, you know, I was like, oh, all these guys are as hungry, as passionate as he is. I was like, we're going to be great. Nobody was, it was just him. But, like, you know, that was the thing I always look for in a teammate and a phone that I respect to this day.
Lawrence, what do you look for in a teammate? What do you most admire?
I will say what Coach Lenny Laurel said. He ran 28 power probably more than 28 times in one day. And that basically meant don't give up. That's it.
Scott, what do you most admire in a teammate?
Competitive. I don't want to walk on the field with someone who's not competitive. When the game's over, we'll shake hands, but during the game, we're there to win.
Pat?
Yeah, I agree. You gotta be a fierce competitor. You know, we look for, we teach our kids now, our players, about being great teammates, counting on one another. You know, you gotta know that the person playing next to you can count on you and trust you, and it's pretty much hard work.
Kevin, what do you expect from your athletes?
Buy into the program, buy into what we're doing here, push each other. Everybody on that team should have a collective stake goal. And let's go attack it. Let's get it.
And Jennifer, what do you look for?
I would agree. Definitely competitiveness, athleticism, and heart would be I would say my number one.
Jimmy?
Accountability. I want to be able to count on you to come to practice, work as hard as I did, and I kind of preach that to my players too. Same thing.
Maria, you're a player and a coach.
Hard work. You want to come into everyday practice giving it your 110%. I think it takes zero athletic ability to give it your all. So you give 110%, you're going to go far in life, and I want that person next to me that's going to give everything I have.
Chandra.
I agree. Accountability, especially having kids in sports now. We see a lot of people that don't even come to practice and then get upset if they don't get playing time and things like that. You want a teammate that's going to show up every day and put in the hard work. But also, I was lucky enough to be with teammates who we celebrated each other. We celebrated each other's accomplishments. It was not a competitive thing, and we were sad when we failed at things, but we were very supportive of each other. So definitely supportive teammates.
Ron?
Your willingness to do whatever it takes. If you think you can beat this opponent, you've lost before you get out there.
Thank you. And Coach Huey, what did you expect from your players and your teammates?
Well, I think one of the important things that hasn't been mentioned yet is to be able to manage the inevitable ups and downs with composure, be an encourager to your teammates. Those would be two things that haven't been mentioned yet.
Okay, and so real quick, in a word or two, I want to know what, if you were going to describe yourself in just a couple words, what would you want this audience to take away today about you, your teams? Coach Miles?
I love what I did. I love coaching. I love being around athletes. I love being around coaching young people, watching them develop. And I think I enjoyed my life with what I did.
Basically, that's the bigger, but that's the way I'm built. Female, that doesn't have to just be that.
Pat, what do you want everybody to take away today about Pat King?
Just the same things I try to preach to my kids and the players that I coached. And, I got myself on the field before because I was one of the hardest workers, the hardest competitors, and I really cared. Was a great teammate, and so that's about it.
Kevin, what do you want us to take away today?
I think I live a life where I try to, I tell all the athletes on our team the same phrase, and I say it over and over again. There's no rewind button in life. If there's something that you want, you have to go get it. Don't look behind you. You don't succeed, just keep getting up, just keep moving forward. The goal line will be there at some point. You just can't stop it.
Maria?
I would say you have to be passionate about it, whether it's coaching or playing. If you don't have the passion for a sport, it's not for you. So definitely passion. You gotta want it.
Chandra, what should we take away about you? What are we going to remember?
I would hope that it would be, I try to teach my kids just to stay humble and kind, and I totally agree with what you said. You know, if you go in thinking that you're going to beat everyone and be the best at everything, then you're not going to be. You know, you have to know that there's always a bigger and better athlete out there, so you have to just persevere and work hard. So.
Ron?
Trust that I'll be there with you all the way. Either we win together, we lose together. But all the way.
Coach Huey, what are we going to leave remembering about you, Coach?
Well, my hope would be congruence was really important to me, and I wanted to make sure that my wife and my daughters saw the same person on the sideline that they saw in the church pew, that they saw at the dinner table. And I hope that I was the same person to the guys that I coached on the field, in the locker room, and wherever else I've met them.
Jimmy, what are we going to leave remembering about James Green?
I think any accomplishment just takes hard work. Countless hours of shooting to get that many threes, throwing footballs through tire swings in my yard. But it's just, nothing's given to you. It takes hard work.
Jennifer?
Athletic, dedicated, hardworking. I live by the philosophy of practice like I play. Like, always practice, play like you're playing a game. So hardworking for sure.
Scott, what are we going to take away today?
Competitive and able to handle adversity, because there's always going to be adversity.
Lawrence?
I hope you heard faith from me today. Those who know me, I used to put a Bible, a pocket Bible, in Angelo Papa's pocket each game at junior high. You'll have to ask him about that when you talk to him.
All right. So Sean, finish up for us and tell us what we take away today.
There's a through line for me in high school now is trying to get better every day. For a long time, that was basketball. Now it's life. It's being a better son, being a better husband, being a better professional. And I'm just measuring myself versus who I was yesterday.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause to our 2025 Lawrence County Sports Hall of Fame inductees. Okay, athletes, you still are all athletes. Don't run off because we have to get a group picture and we have to get your plaques to you. I think we also have a half and half. Do we need to draw that? Denise Kalkovich is going to draw the number. Joe Kalkovich won. Okay, the number is the red ticket 729-002. 729-002. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Sorry, I messed up again. So we have a silent auction. So
Okay, does anybody want to do any more on the silent thing? The silent option?
And this concludes our broadcast of the Lawrence County Historical Society Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations to the inductees. And as always, Warrior Station, NCTV45, available anytime on your time. Continue for our programming, and please just enjoy the rest of your week.